upgraded in any way. Odyssey was holding her right shoulder.
The Indiana Fever finally secured a long-awaited playoff victory, but what should have been a moment of celebration quickly turned into controversy thanks to the WNBA. Rather than focusing on Lexi Hull's clutch steal or the standout performances of Kelsey Mitchell and Aaliyah Boston, the spotlight shifted to an altercation involving Sophie Cunningham and a league security guard. Wearing a heavy leg brace and clearly not in playing condition, Sophie wasn't attempting to rush the floor or stir up trouble, yet the guard treated her as if she had stormed the court in the middle of a fight. In this video, we'll break down the incident and share what Sophie said that has everyone talking. But first, do you think she was unfairly singled out? Let us know in the comments.
If you're like that, yeah, Chloe, she's like that. She's like that. She ain't moving. Oh, and then she puts her hands on the... Let me talk to your manager. Oh, shit. All right, Sophie, say no more. Say no more. Now, when your teammate gets injured, you're allowed to hop on the court and just to see if your teammate's doing good. So, injured, healthy. So, Chloe, Sophie, they had every right to be on the court over here.
The question now is whether this was simply an overreaction by an overzealous rent-a-cop or part of a broader, troubling pattern in the WNBA of targeting players who don't align with the league's narrative. Looking at the history, it's hard not to believe Sophie Cunningham was singled out, though her calm but defiant response showed she wouldn't be intimidated by a glorified hall monitor. The atmosphere should have been celebratory, with the Fever pulling off a dramatic playoff win despite missing Caitlin Clark for half the season and being without key players like Ari McDonald, Sydney Colson, Damaris Dantas, Chloe Bibby, and Sophie herself. Fans were on their feet, the team was energized, and the postseason excitement was palpable. Yet instead of soaking in the moment, viewers witnessed the surreal image of Sophie in her brace at midcourt being aggressively approached by league security. There was no scuffle, no violation, no reason for confrontation. Yet she was suddenly treated as if she posed a threat.
Why in the F is that security guard all up on Sophie Cunningham? And look, I think there is a reason she got up in Sophie's face. And I don't think there was any need to sort of bow up to Sophie like that. I don't think, and to Sophie's credit, she did not back down at all.
Think about the optics here. Sophie Cunningham, clearly injured and unable to sprint even if she wanted to, being confronted by a security guard intent on escalating a situation that didn't exist. The cameras caught everything, from Sophie's expression shifting from confused to irritated to the trademark Cunningham glare fans instantly recognized. The look of someone saying, "Really? This is happening right now?" And she had every reason to give it. The clip spread across social media within minutes, Sophie's stare down going viral and sparking outrage, not because she overreacted, but because fans saw how needless the entire exchange was. This wasn't enforcement, it was harassment, and it fed directly into the frustrating narrative that has dogged Sophie throughout her career, where she's consistently painted as the villain.
So Odyssey Sims goes down hard, and Sophie Cunningham, Caitlin Clark, Chloe Bibby are waiting for her at half court, and the cop tries to get Sophie Cunningham to move. Sophie Cunningham was like, "You're not gonna get me to move. I'm waiting for Odyssey." And you could see during the review, look at Sophie Cunningham clapping, not moving, waiting for her teammate. That's the Fever.
The reason is simple. Sophie Cunningham doesn't toe the WNBA's party line. She's outspoken, challenges narratives, carries herself with unapologetic confidence, and refuses to shrink back just because others want her to. For that, she's been treated differently by rival fan bases, media outlets, and now apparently by the league's own staff. This is the same Sophie Cunningham who regularly trends on social media, whose highlights rack up views, and whose fan base is among the loudest in women's basketball. She's good for business, yet instead of embracing her, the WNBA seems intent on casting her as a problem. Comments flooded Twitter, Instagram, and YouTube, with some pointing out that Sophie is targeted because she doesn't fit the league's preferred image, while others highlighted the racial and cultural double standards on display. If Angel Reese or Paige Buchers had been in her position, the narrative would have been flipped, celebrating their passion and leadership. Yet when it's Sophie in a leg brace, suddenly she's painted as the issue. Fans weren't buying it, and hashtags like Free Sophie and WNBA Exposed trended within hours.
Folks, I didn't realize how much fun I would have watching these people break down. It's a meltdown. It's a meltdown on Twitter today. It's embarrassing to a certain extent. Not for me, for them. And then we got the Caitlin Clark and the Indiana Fever getting booed as they're getting off their court.
And here's the kicker. Sophie Cunningham never escalated the situation. She stood her ground, didn't back down, but also didn't lash out. She simply held her space, glared, and refused to be intimidated, showing more professionalism than the very security guard who instigated the confrontation. That's exactly why the clip went viral. It wasn't drama she created, it was drama the league created. And when you connect the dots, you see this isn't an isolated case. Remember when refs complained about Doriana Carrington and security had to get involved? The league rushed to defend Carrington. The Players Association backed her, and the media framed it as unfair treatment. So why the silence when the same thing happened to Sophie? Why is it only fans calling out the double standard while league leadership stays quiet?
This out right here. Yeah, you see this guy right here? Right in this Gentile area. Let me just, you see this guy? The ref asked this dude to step out here. All right? Now, Cheryl Swoops wants this referee fired. She wants him fired. Look, he felt something. He felt something was amiss. Of course, Cheryl Swoops is defending Dejanay.
This isn't just about one overzealous guard. It's about the WNBA's larger issue with players who don't fit the mold. Caitlin Clark has dealt with it since her rookie season, getting hacked, shoved, taunted, and targeted while officials look the other way and the league stays silent. Sophie Cunningham, meanwhile, has been painted as the villain for years. Put those storylines together and a troubling pattern emerges. The WNBA doesn't know how to handle stars who challenge their preferred narrative. Instead of embracing them, the league marginalizes them. The irony is that both Caitlin Clark and Sophie Cunningham are exactly the kind of players the league should be highlighting. They're marketable, popular, and they fuel engagement. Even sidelined, Sophie gets people talking, and Clark is the biggest draw in women's basketball history. Yet rather than protecting them, the WNBA allows referees and staff to mistreat them, leaving fans frustrated not just by isolated incidents, but by the league's overall failure to support its own stars.
Sophie Cunningham, because she's white, she's beautiful, all these things, right? Let's keep it real. Let's keep it 100, as they say. Sophie Cunningham's the most beautiful woman in this league. All right, she's the hottest woman in this league, and they're mad they can't be her.
The fallout was swift, with fans flooding comment sections and blasting the WNBA for embarrassing Sophie Cunningham during what should have been a celebratory moment. Many pointed out how the league once investigated fans for booing Angel Reese, or how they brushed aside flagrant fouls against Caitlin Clark as just part of the game. The same pattern is clear: selective enforcement, selective outrage, selective protection, and each time it happens, the league's credibility suffers. And this isn't just a matter of optics, it's bad business. The WNBA constantly talks about wanting growth, respect, and mainstream relevance. Yet those goals are undermined when the defining images from its biggest moments are viral clips of players being harassed by league staff. Fans don't want their favorite stars silenced or sidelined. They want to see the game played, celebrated, and respected.
Completely underestimated the feelings that I would have watching all of the Indiana Fever haters crash out. All of the Caitlin Clark haters, all of the Sophie Cunningham haters, anything to do with the Indiana Fever, the people that are just so quick to hop on Twitter and say something negative, to hop on media and say something negative to take credit away. I underestimated how good it feels watching these people crumble.
And this is where the story snowballed, because as fans kept talking about Sophie Cunningham's confrontation, they started connecting the dots: double standards, repeated mistreatment, and the league's ongoing failure to protect players like Caitlin Clark and Sophie. What began as a viral clip turned into a case study of everything wrong with WNBA leadership, officiating, and priorities. This is also where the issue shifted from frustrating to revealing, because Sophie Cunningham isn't just another injured player in sweats on the sideline. She's outspoken, fiery, and unwilling to conform to the league's polished narratives. She doesn't bend to approved storylines, doesn't dull her edges to make media comfortable, and certainly doesn't act as the smiling mascot the league might prefer. She's not Paige Buchers, the NCAA star framed as Clark's heir, and she's not Angel Reese, who the league has leaned on for controversy. Sophie is something they can't easily package, and for that, she's been a target for years.
Sophie, she got the contraption on. She looks great in a ball cap. Let's just keep it real. We're keeping it 100 here, as the kids say. And here we go. Right here, she's at mid-court, and then Paula Blart, mall cop. What are you doing? Well, I mean, what you doing? She got a leg brace on, for crying out loud. You come out here trying to be Brody and trying to do something, knowing damn good well. Look at this police officer sauntering.
Here's the irony. Sophie Cunningham's very defiance, her refusal to play along with the league's preferred image, is what makes her popular. Fans love her because she's genuine, unfiltered, and bold enough to say what others won't. The exact kind of energy a league desperate for mainstream traction should celebrate. Yet instead of embracing her as a star, the WNBA seems intent on minimizing her role. Just look at the marketing. How often is Sophie front and center in promos? Almost never. Even though her name trends constantly, her highlights rack up views, and her interviews circulate more than players the league promotes twice as hard. The double standard is glaring. When Sophie gets into a dust-up, she's labeled the villain, but when Angel Reese does the same, it's spun as passion and swagger. Fans notice, and they're not fooled. The favoritism is obvious, and when a brace-wearing Sophie was berated by a security guard for nothing more than supporting her teammates, the hypocrisy hit a new low. The only conclusion left is the one fans are already whispering: Sophie Cunningham is being singled out.
One of those games, it was such a good W game. Like it was physical. There's a lot of back and forth, a lot of great plays. But I just knew deep down in my gut that we were going to win. Like somehow we were going to win. And like, I think it was like a minute or like 40, I don't even know, like around 40 seconds left. And they left our all-star player wide open under the hoop for the go-ahead layup. And then Lexi Hull had a freaking badass steal and like it was over. But
And that's where the damage extends beyond Sophie Cunningham, because casual fans, many drawn in by Caitlin Clark's star power, are watching closely. These newcomers, tuning into WNBA basketball for the first time this season, didn't leave talking about Lexi Hull's clutch steal or the Fever's resilience. Instead, the conversation revolved around Sophie versus the mall cop. When outsiders see a league more defined by drama than basketball, they don't walk away impressed. They walk away convinced the WNBA isn't serious, and that perception is deadly. The backlash online was immediate and brutal, with comment sections filled with scathing criticism of Commissioner Kathy Engelbert, accused of presiding over what some called the most embarrassing league in professional sports. Others pushed further, demanding her resignation and accusing her of turning the WNBA into a circus. Because when fans focus more on controversies than competition, that isn't growth. It's collapse masquerading as buzz.
Kathy Engelbert, we need an investigation. Call the FBI. Call the local police department. We need an investigation as to who was raining down those boos on the Indiana Fever. They're all racist. Or, hear me out here, or this is sports and that's expected. Notice how the Indiana Fever players, oh, they didn't cry. Oh my God. Notice how they didn't do that.
And meanwhile, Sophie Cunningham handled the fiasco better than anyone could have. She didn't blow up, didn't add fuel to the drama, and never gave the league ammunition. Instead, she stood her ground, refused to retreat, and let her body language deliver the message, "You won't intimidate me." Fans picked up on it instantly, flooding her social media with messages of support and turning her into the hero of the night. Once again, Sophie showed that every time the league tries to diminish her, it only strengthens her following. And then came her actual response.
The league is so mad that we won because we're literally not supposed to be here at all. And that just like kind of fuels our fire even more. But it was just like so fun. It was one of those games that, first of all, I was sweating my ass off because I was so nervous and like, I don't really get anxious about stuff. I was so anxious. Like I could not sit still. I was legit. I felt like I played with how much I was.
And in classic Sophie Cunningham fashion, she brushed it off with humor. No angry press conference, no bitter rant, just a quick jab that reminded everyone she controls her own narrative. That's the real kicker. The league seems to think targeting Sophie will diminish her, but every attempt only boosts her popularity. Fans love an underdog who refuses to be silenced, and Sophie embodies that role flawlessly.
And I think we all know that if there's one thing that male sports fans want to see in their spaces and on their screens, it's more of me.
Of course, this isn't an isolated issue. The WNBA has a troubling record of failing to protect and promote the very players who drive its success. Look at Caitlin Clark, who for 2 seasons has absorbed harder fouls than anyone, constantly hacked and shoved with minimal whistles, while officials let it slide and the league shrugs it off, leaving fans furious at the lack of protection. Or consider Lexi Hull, whose playoff heroics barely got a passing mention from league media, even as fans hailed her as clutch. And now Sophie Cunningham gets humiliated by league security in the middle of a celebration. That's not coincidence, it's a pattern. The WNBA loves to promote a narrative of collective growth, but the truth is leadership plays favorites and pushes others to the margins. That selective promotion isn't just unfair, it's damaging. You can't demand fan loyalty while mistreating their favorites, because eventually people stop showing up, and no TV deal or sponsorship will patch the hole. That's why the Fever's playoff win should have been a triumph. Despite missing Caitlin Clark and having a banged-up roster, they pulled it off. That was the story. Instead, it was overshadowed by a security guard barking at Sophie Cunningham, when the league could have highlighted Lexi Hull's defensive brilliance, Aaliyah Boston's steady dominance, Kelsey Mitchell's leadership, or the resilience of a short-handed team. Instead, fans are mocking the WNBA over mall cop antics, and that's not just embarrassing, it's malpractice.
Indiana Fever are heading to the semifinals.
Driving to the foul line in the paint, lays it in. Sims crossover left to right, gets into the paint, layup, good.
Inside, Boston.
At the center of it all is Sophie Cunningham, whose only offense was caring about her teammates while wearing a brace, limping and clearly injured, yet somehow treated as if she had stormed the court. That single moment told fans everything about how the WNBA handles players who don't fit its mold, and the backlash hasn't faded. It's grown. Every clip, every post, every meme keeps the fire burning, with fans framing Sophie as the underdog hero standing up to a league determined to sideline her. The WNBA can spin it, issue bland PR statements, or try to downplay the confrontation, but the verdict is already in. Sophie was wronged, and the league looks foolish once again. That's why this incident resonates, because once more, the narrative isn't centered on basketball, but on the WNBA's inability to get out of its own way. Do you think Sophie is being singled out? Let us know in the comments below, and don't forget to like, subscribe, and turn on notifications so you never miss out. Click the video on the screen, and we'll see you in the next one.